Hello everybody, welcome to AimLIS. In this video, AimLIS presenting the very significant and relevant topic library legislation in India. The total video will cover into 4 parts, part 1 to part 4. Particularly through this video, I Moumita Roy Hazra will try to cover following areas into this part 1. State policy, objectives, needs, functions, UNESCO guidelines, principles of library legislation. Upcoming videos part 2 will cover model public library bills, part 3 will cover state public library legislation, and part 4 will cover the delivery of books and NewspaperAct and Press and Registration Act. Now, let's begin with our part 1. So, friends, watch this video till the end, and if you enjoy it, kindly give like and share these videos to your friends. Don't forget to subscribe this channel AimLIS and press bell button to get more notifications. Library Act is a type of law or legislation that is any country and state government passed and implemented to establish a library system in its territory. Thus, we can say that the Library Act is known for the creation of library systems under the central or state government and its maintenance, functions, services, rights and management in a lawful form. Legislation is the process or product of enrolling, enacting or promulgating law by a legislature, parliament or analogous body. State policy for library and information services. A public library should render service freely to all members of the community without any discrimination. The public libraries shall serve the community in the following order of priority: illiterates and neo-illiterates, semi-literates, people interested in self-employment schemes, semi-skilled, children and young, casual readers, etc. For arranging free access to information, they should act as information centers. They should provide access to all citizens for all types of information at all levels. A federal country like India needs a two-tier public library system, state level and district level. Through library legislation, the state government will impose library cess as per the local conditions. The government will encourage libraries maintained by local bodies, voluntary agencies, Mahila mandals, etc. The objectives of library legislations: to provide a well-organized library system for the state, district and up to the remote village level with free access to all citizens. To provide a steady and permanent source of finance. To maintain standards in library services. For establishment of networking in libraries and formation of the board of directors for ensuring and continuing the library. The needs of library legislation. Libraries were started mostly with voluntary efforts and had merged funds to meet information needs of the people. The financial support through subscriptions or through public donations could not provide valuable services. The governments and management of these libraries were on ad hoc lines without any structures and resources. They had no stability nor scope for growth. Very limited services were provided that to members. Functions. The Advisory Committee for Libraries constituted by the Government of India 1958 proposed the following 5 functions of library legislation. It should clearly define the government's responsibilities in the matter of public libraries. Legislation should lay down the constitution and functions of the library authority at national, state and district level. Legislation should provide an assured basis for library finance. There are 2 ways of providing a firm basis for library finance: a special library cess and reservation of a certain percentage of the education budget. The legislation should lay down the structure of the public library system. Legislation should provide for participation of the representative of the public in the work of the public libraries at all levels. Legislation should provide clear guidance for library cooperation and national catalogue. Now, UNESCO guidelines on legislation. The UNESCO, as a part of implementing the National Information System (NATIS), also prepared the necessary guidelines on library legislation. A legislative framework for implementing the NATIS was drafted by Philip Sewell, A.W. Mabs, and E.M. Broom. The guidelines of the draft are summarized as below. Public library systems are a key element in NATIS and should have prime consideration when legislation is being considered. A legislation base is essential for the development of library systems. There is a need for a national focus with clearly defined responsibilities and powers. The nature of national focus will vary but will balance in varying degrees the 2 main forms of organizational structures, centralized and decentralized. Library service must be equipped with controlling and or advisory bodies which ensure they are responsive to democratic control and user interests. Principles of library legislation. The library legislation must be simple and general in it should be flexible, allowing the future development of libraries. It must be kept above political changes. It should state the duties and privileges of public libraries. With regard to public libraries, the law should also specify the responsibilities of local, state and central governments. All librarians must lend their books free of charge to all citizens in the country. The legislation should also make provisions for the creation of an advisory body at the state or national level. Provisions should be made for the training of librarians.